Hey folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey, right here on the Dice Tower. Today we're going to be taking a look at this right here. This is the Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring trick-taking game. Now, I'm pretty sure this has already been done on the Dice Tower, so I just want to add my 2 cents. Let's get down to the table and take a look, shall we? So as we begin getting into the game, I do want to mention that this is a game for 2 to 4 players. I have it set up for 4 players right now. There is a setup for 2 players, as you can see right here. You can play it with 2 players, but I've set it up for 4, so that's what we're going to use to go over the game. Now, this is a trick-taking game, and basically what that means is that there will be a lead player. That player has to play out one of the cards of their hand, and then everybody else has to follow the same suit if they can. If you can't, you can play any card in your hand, but you're basically not going to win the trick if that's the case. In this, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different suits. Each of the suits have 1 to 8 cards in them, and then the rings suit only has 1 to 5. Now, just like with any other trick-taking game, you're basically trying to win a certain number of tricks, but with this game, how many tricks you're going to be wanting to win is determined by the character that you're going to take. Each chapter has their own little card here. So, for example, chapter 1 says, when Mr. Bilbo Baggins of Baggin announced that he would shortly be celebrating his 11st birthday with a party of special magnificence, there was much talk and excitement in Hobbiton. So that's the situation that chapter 1 is going to take place in. You turn the card over and it basically tells you the name of the chapter, the characters that are going to take place, and the victory. Basically, everybody has to complete their objective on their specific card, and then the characters chosen are Frodo, Bilbo, Gandalf, and Pippin, which I already have them out here, but there's an asterisk by Frodo and Bilbo, which means that they must be chosen. Whomever is dealt the 1 ring card when the cards are dealt out, they are going to be Frodo, and they become, so they're going to first of all take the Frodo card, and they'll also take the 1 ring token with the non-broken side down. The other side is to basically just show that the ring suit has been broken. Starting to the person to the left of Frodo, they get to choose which cards that are out here. Now that Frodo has been taken, which removes one of the star characters, this token means that Bilbo must be chosen in this hand. But the next person that chooses him doesn't necessarily have to take Bilbo. They could take either Gandalf or Pippin if they wanted to, but one of the 3 remaining characters has to be Bilbo. Now, the time that this is really going to take effect is when there are fewer than 4 players in the game. So in a 3rd-player game, in a 3-player game, one of these 2 people have to choose Bilbo. The other one can choose anybody that they would like to. In a 4-player game, each player is given 9 cards. The remaining card will come right over here and be flipped over. This will become the lost card of the deck, which some characters are going to interact with that last or lost card in the deck. So, for example, Gandalf here says that you will add the lost card to your hand, and then you can exchange a card with Frodo. So this person here is going to add the 8 of Hills to their hand, and then they're going to be able to exchange a card from their hand with Frodo. So maybe he wants to do, I don't know, maybe he wants to give Frodo some ring cards because he knows that Frodo is going to need to win 2 or more ring cards with 4 or more players. Frodo has to exchange one of the cards in his hand in exchange for that 4 of rings. So let's see, maybe we want to do something like, I don't know, we'll give him the 8 of Shadow in return for that 4 ring. Now, over here, this person, Bilbo, says that there is no setup. Over here, exchange with Frodo, Sam, or Merry. So now Pippin, now that Gandalf has done theirs, now Pippin has to do the same things. So Pippin's going to take his card here, and he doesn't have any ring cards to give to Frodo. So maybe he's just going to give him a card that might help. So maybe he's going to give Frodo this 8 of mountains, and Frodo will basically say, all right, well, I'll do the best I can and give you something that is useful as well. And now they are done with their setup. Now, Frodo does not have to play with his hand open. I'm just trying to leave this open so that you can see basically what's going on. So now what's going to happen here, Frodo is going to take the lead trick. So he's going to play a card out of his hand and everybody else has to follow. So a couple of things about leading. Frodo cannot lead with rings because rings hasn't been broken yet. But once somebody else plays a ring, hopefully in such a way that allows Frodo to get that ring card, because in order for the round or the chapter to be successful, Frodo has to win 2 or more ring cards. Gandalf has to win 1 or more tricks. Bilbo has to win 3 or more tricks. And Pippin has to win the fewest tricks or tie for the fewest tricks. So starting off with Frodo, let's say that he's going to start off by playing the 8 of mountains. Now Gandalf looks at his cards, and if he has mountains, which he does, he must play. So that means Frodo is still winning this trick. Now Bilbo is going to look at his cards, and he doesn't have any mountains, so he can play whatever he would like to play. So he'll just slough off and play that 1 right there, and now he's done. Pippin, however, needs to follow suit, and since Frodo is winning this one, we're just going to go ahead and let Frodo win it, and he follows with 1. So now Frodo has won a trick, but he hasn't gotten any closer to his condition because that trick didn't have any ring cards in it. So he's going to start again, and that's going to be, maybe he plays his next highest card. And so now this person over here is going to say, let me try to help out a little bit. He's going to win the trick here. With that one, these people will play low. This person will also play low as possible. So that will go here like this. And now that Gandalf has won this one, he will take that and come over here. And now Gandalf is going to lead the trick. Let's go with the 8 of Shadow. And so the 8 of Shadow is played. These people have to play in the same suit, like so. And that person plays there. At this point, Frodo is going to, he doesn't have any shadow, so he's going to play the 1 ring. Now, the 1 ring is the only card in the deck that beats all the other cards, and it has the power to be either the winner, or you can choose for it not to automatically win. But in this case, Frodo, because he doesn't have any shadow cards to play, he's going to play the 1 ring, which breaks ring suit, and he is able to win this trick because the 1 ring wins all. And so Gandalf has an extra card in his hand because he added the last card, the lost card, to his hand before he exchanged. So he's going to have more cards than everybody else, but that's the end. So we look at the objectives. Win 2 or more rings, that's completed. Win 1 or more tricks, completed. Win 3 or more tricks, 1, 2, 3, 4, completed. Win the fewest tricks or tie for the fewest tricks. Even though he didn't win any tricks, he still accomplishes his goal because he won the fewest number of tricks, which was 0. In this particular case, we have accomplished chapter 1, and we can now open part 1 over here and continue on to chapter 2. I'm not going to show you any of that stuff because I don't want there to be any spoilers, but you basically get the idea of how to play. Let's get to my final thoughts. what I showed you was really just kind of the tip of the iceberg. There is so much more to this game. The fact that there are more characters to come out, there are event cards and different gift cards, and there's just a whole number of different things that come out in each chapter as you work through all of the different chapters that are in the game. But that's one of the cooler things about the game for me, was that the fact that you started with this core concept of how to play the game, and then everything just kind of rolled out and got added to it incrementally with each additional chapter. And some of the things that are added by those other chapters are substantial. Now, they're not huge in that they make the game more complex or anything like that, but they present a new puzzle that has to be accomplished with different characters that are coming out, and those different characters are going to have different kinds of win conditions or different kinds of setups. And they're all thematic, which is another really cool thing about the game, is how thematic it is, but we'll get to all that in a little bit. But the episodic nature of the trick-taking game is a really neat concept that I think is, I don't want to oversay it by saying it's groundbreaking, but that's the word that comes to mind. I think it's groundbreaking that so many games are coming out with this episodic incremental addition of little things here and there that just basically tweak how the game's supposed to be played, and I really do enjoy that. This one did it very well. If you're familiar with trick-taking games, you're going to fall right into it. It's going to be like second hat to you. But if you're not familiar with trick-taking games, one of the coolest things that I like about the game is that it kind of baby steps you into what a trick-taking game is by nature of how the rule book is written. And I think that's a great thing as well. So if you're not familiar with trick-taking games, but you like The Lord of the Rings, this will be something that you'll probably want to at least take a look at. If you are familiar with trick-taking games and you like Lord of the Rings, this seems like a huckleberry for you, because it's going to definitely be something that will at least strike your fancy for a bit. And it has a low entry point price-wise as well. So take all that for what it's worth. Let's get to my pros and cons. My first pro is that it is a thematic trick-taking game. And you know, there was a time where I would not have thought to say those two things in the same sentence. But lo and behold, here we are. This is definitely a thematic trick-taking game. Whether or not you like the theme, Lord of the Rings, might make or break you. If you really don't care for it, you might not enjoy it. But I wouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater, because if you're not a fan of the theme or the IP, I think you still might like the mechanisms employed by the theme that's been worked in. So I would still give it a whirl, even if you're not a huge fan of thematic games and you're not a huge fan of Lord of the Rings games. This is a great trick-taking game, regardless of the theme that's on it. But it's thematic, so the theme really does work well with the mechanisms, and I think that's a really cool thing about it. Secondarily, the artwork is really well done in this game, and it has this kind of stained glass look to it, which I really found striking. I don't know that I'm going to want to see more games employ it, but the fact that this game used it and used it in such a good way is really a positive thing for me. I do like games that are visually appealing when they're on the table. Now, a trick-taking game is not necessarily going to be aesthetically pleasing, because you're just going to have basically piles of cards everywhere. There's not really a center board to think about. There's not any of that. But aesthetically pleasing to the players, this game has it. First of all of the different suits are vibrantly colored. But in addition to that, they also have symbols paired with those colors so that it is colorblind friendly, which is another big thing for me as far as having games that I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to worry about that as I'm setting up the game and as I'm teaching the game, because there are different symbols for each of the different colors. So that's a big plus. And that kind of does fall into the graphic design artwork category, which is what we're talking about right here. The box cover is that nice, luminescent type of print on it. So I really enjoyed that as well. This is great artwork, and so I wanted to mention it. The component quality is my third pro, and the reason it's going to garner my third pro is because, first of all, I really like this. It seems like it's going to be a nondescript almost, and unnecessary, but being able to know at any given point in time whether or not Trump has not yet been broken, or rather rings has not yet been broken, or it has been broken, is an important thing. And I like the fact that they included that. Other than that, the star tokens, which could have easily been just cardboard, is wood. That's neat. Now, the number of tokens necessary for the game probably allowed them to go with wood instead of cardboard. So take that for what it's worth. This guy is also wooden, and I like the artwork on it. The cards are of a good stock, nice linen finish. And I would imagine most people who get this game are probably going to want to sleeve their game as well. But component quality is very well done. On the inside of the box, this is something that I just wanted to mention. They had these little, basically put the cards down on top of it, and it leaves that little pull tab there. You can just pull the cards right out so you don't have to dig, which is a couple of different things. First of all, it's cool for us as the players because it helps us get those cards out faster. Secondarily, though, it also allows you to have a smaller box because you don't have to have room in there for a finger to get in there underneath all of the cards. Or it doesn't have to be thicker so that you have an indentation on the bottom so where you can push down and lift up on one side. So this little thing right here, while it might seem very insignificant, is a very cool thing for me, and I'm going to throw it into this component quality thing because I think, the box, the storage solution is part of the components. So I thought this was a really neat idea. Now, my fourth pro is going to get into the actual gameplay, and this isn't necessarily going to be a groundbreaking pro because trick-taking is trick-taking. I've grown up playing trick-taking games, and this does that well. Not saying anything, but the thing that makes it a really cool trick-taking game for me is the fact that you have these, I'm just going to call them variable player powers. They're not really, but they're variable player goals at the very least. And this is a really cool thing about this game. Not just that you have a different goal, but you also have a different kind of setup for each of the different chapters that are going to be in there. And you choose what kind of setup you have based on the character that you're able to choose. Now, some characters, like what we saw with Bilbo here, they don't have a setup. They just are there to start playing the game. But other people are going to have to draw other cards. They're going to have to start interacting with other elements that are going to be coming out in these different chapters. Other ones are going to have to exchange cards with other people. That's the kind of thing that I find that's really cool about the game. Yes, it's a trick-taking game. Yes, it's a good trick-taking game, but it's got this really cool section at the beginning of every hand where you have to do something a little bit different than everybody else, and I like it when games do that, so that's my fourth pro. My final pro is the rulebook, and I kind of alluded to this in my final thoughts section, but I like the fact that at the very beginning of the rulebook, they ask you the question, what is a trick-taking game? What is a cooperative trick-taking game? What is a cooperative game? Because this is a cooperative trick-taking game. You have to work together. Everybody has to provide they have to reach their own goals. So what is a cooperative game? It answers that question for you. What's a trick-taking game? It answers that question. What's a chapter? So this rule book does a good job of not making any assumptions. This rule book takes you through the baby steps of how you need to do everything, and it does it very, very well. So this rule book for me is a huge plus. It also has rule summary on the back, and then it also goes through and it talks about some chapter specific questions. So if you have any questions about chapter 8, well, here you go. And this has a little blurb that might answer the question that you have for it. This is a well done rule book. Now, one of the things that I want to talk about in this is because there is a section in here that does talk about communication. And, you know, a lot of trick-taking games do have that moniker of not being able to do a whole lot of table talking. And table talkers are bad, that kind of stuff. And this does that. But basically, you can talk about anything that is open information on the table at this specific moment in time. So you can talk about the fact that Bilbo needs to win at least 3 tricks. You can talk about the fact that Pippin has to win the fewest number of tricks or be tied for the fewest number of tricks. You can talk about any of the information that's out there, but you can't talk about what's in your hand. And that's kind of a normal trick-taking rule that most people are just going to know about. But it went the extra mile to explain that. Now, as far as my rating for this game is concerned, you'll notice that I didn't have any cons, so this is going to be a high rating for me. I'm going to go on out there and say that as a trick-taking game, as a Lord of the Rings game, and putting those two things together, I couldn't be more satisfied with this. And because I don't give 10s out, this is definitely a 9. I love this game. I love this as a trick-taking game. I love the artwork. I love the components. I love how the game is put together. There's so much here that I like, and there's literally nothing that I don't like, because everything just fits so well. So it is a strong 9 out of 10 for me. I really enjoy this game a lot. We'll see you guys and gals on the flip side. Take care.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you like this review or whatever you just watched, wasn't it amazing? Check out our channel, Dice Tower. We have all kinds of things. We review games, we do top 10s, we play games live. It's all about board games, but especially the people who play them. Check out Dice Tower YouTube channel.